Hello, my name is Spencer, one of the 6 WC landscape architects that is working on the Dog Patch Pier 70 Mission Bay community and looking at adapting to climate change and looking towards the future of the community. And in this iteration, we're looking at an urban network plan that focuses a lot on restoration, connection, and longevity to the site. So before we can really delve into the site, we have to look at the regional context of this area and see how, despite this being a smaller community within San Francisco, it, in a way, has a really ripple and cascading effect on a lot of the other communities and systems within the area. And wanting to keep that in mind and thinking about what our impact is. So looking at the site in itself, some of the key factors that really played a vital role in this plan and in this design were the CSO discharges from the creeks, looking at how these combined sewer overflows and stormwater overflows are being discharged and how much area, based on a 1,000-year storm event, how much area needs to be allocated to holding that much discharge. Looking at the land use of the site, seeing the amount of lack of open space along the bayfront, the amount of industry and mixed use spaces and capitalizing on those. And then looking at the potential of sea level rise, not 10 years from now, not 50 years from now, but 22 by 200 years from now. And the main point of that, which is an anchor point for our design, is the high points to the north and south of the whole Mission Bay, um, Pier 70, and Dogpatch community, being a tie point for what we are adding, which is a super levee. This intervention, tying into the north and south of the site, is based on Japanese precedents, which are creating these super levees at a large enough slope that is making these levees earthquake proof, which is vital to this area. It also allows you to create this unique connection of the Embarcadero, which is a current very prominent bayfront promenade in the downtown area, bringing the pedestrian walk, the public transit down into the area and down also to South San Francisco and to the Pier 70 Dogpatch neighborhood, tying it all together, creating a new commercial and recreational bayfront, all while allowing to create a restored tidal marsh exterior, creating a soft edge to mitigate a lot of the tidal amplification and tidal fluctuations within the bay. Also, creating these branches, connecting the super levee to the Pier 70 north to the north and south, tying this whole system all together while also compartmentalizing it to allow for that CSO discharge to have this sort of cascading filtration system. So that when the CSO is discharging from those creeks, you have some flood control gates that will direct the water into to the south of Mission Creek and to the north of Islas Creek through these systems of urban surface and subsurface wetlands to allow for the water to be filtered before entering into the bay, but also allowing those flood control gates to allow so that there's no bottlenecking while the water is traveling through those wetlands. That way then, the water from there can then go through another step of phytoremediation while transitioning between those branches of the super levee, all while generating also some tidal power generation through these tidal barrages. It allows for you to also give that CSO another step of filtration so that by the time it reaches that Pier 70 new commercial bayfront community, you have this water that has gone through several stages of filtration that can then be reused and becomes usable for the community. Then looking at a local scale, some of the interventions that can be in place are such things as green infrastructure such as bioswales to capture a lot of the stormwater from the inland flooding from the storm events that are currently happening, and directing the water into areas to be reused, such as in Potrero Hill into Jackson and Franklin Square Park, to allow for the water to go to these parks and be stored underground so they can be then filtered and reused for the communities as potable or gray water. And then also in the Dogpatch Pier 70 area, looking at the water from these vessels being directed to the north in Crane Crow Park or to the south at Warm Water Cove Park so that these areas can become restored recreational white wetlands that can then filter and treat that water and store it so it can be reused. So that overall, our goal is to transform an area that was primarily a heavy industry area with a lack of connection to the bay, lack of open space to the bay, lack of waterfront sort of community and hub that was really lacking to the area. Restoring that while also creating these connections between the downtown San Francisco area, Mission Bay, Pier 70, really connecting everything all together while also connecting this community back to the bay, back to the local ecology, and also connecting people back to where their water is going, where their sewer is going, how can we intervene with that and reuse this. All while hoping to achieve a positive impact on this community, on its health, on its water availability, on its um, overall safety to the inland and coastal flooding that is occurring, while also hoping to have a positive impact not on this only in this community, but also the ecological and other communities of the surrounding area. So that overall, we hope that these interventions will last not for 10 years, not for 50 years, but for 200 or more years. And then finally, looking at how to phase this in, looking at a first phase being the exterior super levee so that you can mitigate the potential sea level rise, as well as adding those local green infrastructures and captivating on that, starting to treat that inland flooding, stormwatering events with the wetlands and green infrastructure. And then phasing in the second phase, the urban surface wetlands and flood control case, so you can start treating that CSO. And then finally adding the 2 branches to the super levee so you can start getting that tidal power generation and revenue, start treating that CSO more, and then start creating those developments on top of the community on the super levee to create that recreational community, start creating those connections, and start creating that overall sort of bayfront sustainable community that we're hoping for this future, so that we can create this potential future for the site that is both living and lasting for more than 10, 15 years, that will have an overall positive effect on this community and the surrounding communities.